So I'm Jeffrey, and this is Morgan, Promnitz, and we're gonna chat about this cover. It's a photo that I took of Morgan catching a giant sailfish, and we were in Loretto, and this was June of 2015, and yeah, just some of the stuff that we learned. I was expecting, everybody talks about Loretto, it was like giant Dorado and a lot of yellowtail, maybe not that time of the year, but we didn't really do that well on Dorado.
Jeffrey makes a Mirage Drive Hobie look like the most incredible filming machine. He's got his cameras set up in a certain way where, you know, if he's got to sprint over with the Mirage Drive to Doug who's pulling on a fish, and then to me, he's always got, you know, a different lens or a different kind of camera within reach. So they make incredible camera boats, don't you think?
Yeah, I mean, I've done shoots like that where I'm on a Ponga or I'm on something motorized or something different than you're on. When it's on and you're on a big fish like this, to be able to kind of pace right with you and be out of your way and be quiet, and I can get in and out of the boat super fast. And with this housing, the way I shot that actual photo was I wasn't in the water for this one. I did jump in the water, but that was a little bit later on. When you're still hooked onto that fish and it's still pulling you, if I get out, I'm just gonna be floating in the water and you're gonna be 100 yards away. So yeah, I can shoot off a kayak pretty easily, underwater or over-unders or whatever I need to do.
That was a pretty active fish. He jumped quite a bit, and I got him pretty close to the kayak fast because the day before we had been on that same bank and we had seen about 15 marlin. So we were sprinting our butts off, just pedaling, trying to catch up to these marlin. I think we hooked 3 or 4 of them and we landed one. We got him to the kayak, but we went there this day and the marlin had just completely disappeared. And then I went over the high spot of the bank and I hooked into this sailfish, and I felt very lucky to get it. It was a good sized sailfish, you know, for Pacific sailfish.
The other killer feature that we kind of have to talk about is the VHF radio. The radios, I mean, not only just to have on you all the time for safety. A lot of guys now, like, they'll talk about like, oh, I'm gonna have my cell phone and it's waterproof or I have a case for it or whatever. But I mean, the VHF, just being able to chat.
You can't beat it, you know? Especially
with that size group. What happens is if Morgan and the guys are catching fish, I feel like naturally they kind of stay clustered and they stay tight together. But when they're not catching fish, they start spreading out. And once you're a few hundred yards away, you can't hear anything. You can't see hand signals and you don't really know what's happening. And then once you get further and further, I mean, a guy can be hooked up and fighting a fish and you wouldn't even notice.
Yeah,
you know, you'd have to be looking right at him and notice the speed or see a splash or something, especially if the wind comes up or something like that. So the radios, I would have a radio, and when these guys are fishing, what's cool too is he can be on a different rig or trying a different bait or a different lure, and they can be chatting like, hey, this is not working, like I just tried that, like try something else. So you can go back and forth with how to fish it, but also they can let me know like, hey, I'm getting some readings on the fish finder, I think I'm about to get hooked up, I see some action, like I felt a bite, like get over here right now.
You need to be prepared and ready for when that moment happens so that you can get the right people over there and capture, you know, that kind of thing. And that's why your shot ended up on the front of a magazine like Kayak Fish. And I mean, it's an incredible shot, dude. The fish is all dark. It looks like basically a dragon underneath there. Go onto Kayak Fish's website and check it out if you're not already on it.
I could see a photographer where they're kind of like, I want to stay out of the way. I want to let this guy land this fish, and then he'll hoist it out of the water, and then I'll take my pictures. But that picture is too played out. Like this one, what makes it so special is like it's still like in the heat of the battle, and it's hooked up and it's towing him, and I was close enough. I don't think I really wanted to be quite that close. I mean, right after that is when that fish jumped out of the water and I was right there, kind of in the way. But taking those chances, I mean, that was what made it all happen.
It's a balance of the photographer working, getting the right angle, and also the angler, like, you know, getting the fish on the right side of the boat and stuff like that. There's a lot that actually goes into getting a shot like this. And yeah, I mean, another incredible shot, man, and I hope that we can do it again and look forward to getting another cover for Kayak Fish, and maybe it'll be one of you guys or girls that are fishing with Jeffrey next time, utilizing these kind of tools to get on the front cover.